Here with one of the greatest of all time in all of sports, Harry Cicma, alongside Carl Lewis and the art of the Olympians, your friend Bob Beamon making this possible. It's all about giving back to the community. How do you like being part of this charity?
Oh, it's amazing. And first of all, Bob isn't my friend; he's my boss. He's someone that I've respected a long time. But I think it goes beyond that. I mean, to be linked to someone like Bob Beamon, being the same event, and then to our order because we had similar things. It's just a great thing to be here. And not only that, but it just shows you how important this event is because everyone is here. And when you bring these generations of athletes and people to come in together to support something, it just tells you how important it is.
And when you were running and training, did you ever think about how that could inspire young kids one day?
It's really funny because I look back, I'm 51 now, and I look back when I was 19, 20, 21, and I was trying to be the best that I could be, but I didn't understand the significance of it. I really didn't. And fortunately, I had people around me that kept me on a straight line, starting with my parents and coaches and people around me. So it allowed me to nurture that, and as I got older into my late 20s and 30s, I really took it as an honor to have that opportunity. And now I continue to try to push that because I have an 18-year-old, so I try to inspire him to be a leader in his community.
And how about being here with fellow Hall of Famers, so to speak? I mean, what does that mean, and how humbling is that? Football, basketball, all the sports here.
Well, it's the great thing about it is that my career was mostly the 80s. It was all of the 80s and part of the 90s. And it was such a rich time in sports for history if you go back and look at the people. And many of them, to see them again is great. I mean, I just saw Thurman Thomas. I hadn't seen him in years. He's from Houston. And to see these great athletes that meant so much, and they all look good. They're so relevant now, years later, that they can come to an event like this, and it just takes people back. Sports is a great, great, great thing because people have those moments where it's like when something happens, you remember, oh, I remember that football play that happened, or I remember that track race. It really defines sometimes in your own life.
Final question, what advice would you give a young runner trying to make it to the great Olympic level?
My thing is that to be successful, you have to be a well-rounded person. It starts with taking care of your future, which is education. My parents are both teachers and coaches, so I spent most of my years in one of their schools, so obviously that was important to me. But I think for all of them, be well-rounded, be a good person, be in your community if you can, study hard, make sure that you take care of everything you need to do. And then when you get out on that track or field, be the best you can. Ask your coach questions. You're never above that situation, but you can always be a part of it. If you're not sure, ask them questions. Make sure they get the information because that's how you're going to be the best you can be, by challenging people to push you as hard as you can be.
And I guess one other question, New York and New Jersey struggling with Hurricane Sandy. What do you think about that community fighting back from that?
Well, I mean, it's really interesting because I'm from New Jersey and I live there right now, and so I went through that process, not as bad as most people, and I also lived in Houston. So I went through storms in Houston as well, so people will bounce back, but I think the bigger question is that we're watching the world change because we never had those storms. So I think that this is kind of a precursor to what we're going to have to do is come together. Americans do that all the time, and to see people rally together and understand it. Now I know what it feels like to be in the Gulf, so that when people reach out anywhere in the country, we can all have the same experience and really care about everyone in whole, and not just say it's not about our own community.
Carl Lewis, thanks for everything, and thanks for everything with the community here.
Great, thank you.
Harry Cicma with the legend Carl Lewis and the art of the Olympians.